Okay, all you fresh cutters out there, here we are via satellite. It's the big dog, Cody Peel. And, I hadn't let the Longhorns thing get to my head here. Wes Hood, I'll be hosting the show tonight. And got a couple little things we're going to go over. Nothing crazy. As you know, we've got the NCAA going on. We do have some breaking news that I'll have Cody touch on, but we basically want to feature some of the games that probably busted your bracket, and then we'll go over who we think is going to make it to the Final Four. So, if your bracket's busted, maybe you want to take that info and maybe roll a couple parlays or something. Who knows what could go wrong? But first, Cody, we got some breaking news happened today. You've been calling it. I think over a week now. What do you think about what's going on in Chapel Hill?
Yeah, I feel like I've been working up in Chapel Hill. I went to some games this year. You can just see the writing on the wall. Last night, they finally broke news that UNC has fired their head coach, Hubert Davis. He was there for 5 seasons. He had a in 5 seasons, Davis was 125 and 54, around 70% here, winning percentage. But those winnings were not postseason really. He was not really good in the postseason. These back-to-back years were um, round of 64 losses. You didn't even make it to the second round at Carolina. And there was one year that you were preseason number one and you didn't even make the tournament. And so
Yeah.
a lot of things went into this. I know a lot of Carolina fans that were for Hubert staying and having another year. But I just think that with Duke being on top of the world right now, being number one in the country, sending guys into the NBA, making the Final Four every year, I think Carolina fans got sick and tired of seeing that, of them on top and we on the bottom. And that's why they made a change last night. And like I said, he's a good guy. No one's had nothing the bad to say about Hubert. It's just that you got to win games, and there's a standard at UNC.
Yeah, well, if they let him go, you would have to think they had a couple of names in mind. Um, the first one that comes to mind for me is Golden at Florida. I know there's been a lot of rumor about that. That's not some big breaking news, but what I worry about is if they do reach out to him and it goes public and Golden signs with Florida again, does that kind of hurt the coaching search going forward for Chapel Hill?
Oh, well, I don't think Golding. I heard recently that Florida is trying to get him to a long-term extension to lock him down. So with him just winning a national championship last year and him just being so beloved, I really would be shocked if he left Florida because we all know once you win a national championship, you're loved forever. I mean, you have a
Yeah,
Texas
but
necklace
but
around your name, around your neck. Mac Brown is still Mac Brown at Texas. You know what I mean? He's
yeah,
still
and
loved.
and we sent him right on back to Carolina too.
But two big names I'm hearing right now is one out of the NBA, and that is Chicago Bulls coach Billy Donovan, who was the Florida coach back in the day that won 2 national championships at Florida. The Bulls are terrible right now. I mean, they are terrible, terrible.
Yeah.
And there's a chance that if Carolina reaches out to you, this big of a program, and the Bulls are just, they're terrible. They're not going to get any better. They have no stars on their team at all right now. You're going to be at the bottom of the East next year too. That he has a chance to come back to college and be that great college coach he was in Florida. And so, and then you got some bigger college names like TJ Ossenberger out of Iowa State, and then I would think also Tommy Lloyd out of Arizona, and then Dusty May out of Michigan. Those are my four picks. If it's not one of those four picks, then it does kind of hurt Carolina the way that you missed on those four people.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if they missed on all of them. I hope I like the Iowa State coach. I hope he doesn't commit to Carolina while he's still in the tournament. I hate when coaches do that. But yeah, and the Billy Donovan thing, like if he were to turn it down, it wouldn't be like a black eye to Carolina because, the NBA roots and stuff like that. But don't want to get too much into this, but we know we got a lot of Carolina fans out there, and that's going to be an interesting job. I'm really glad to see that they're willing to go outside the family, and I think that will help them. So, moving forward, Cody and I, there were, it's not like it used to be with a bunch of big upsets with some of the Cinderellas, but we wanted to go over a couple of the games. I'd say the biggest Cinderella would probably be the High Point, Wisconsin game. We had the privilege of watching that in the barbershop, which it's our favorite time of year because of that. Busted a few brackets, but Cody, High Point's, got an affluent kind of base. They might be one of the Cinderellas to continue going forward, you know?
Yeah, I enjoyed High Point's run. They really were a good team. They barely lost to Arkansas in the second round, which was really cool to see.
Yeah, one of our
Them
little
go.
picks.
Yeah, I mean
Yep.
Arkansas is a great team. They won the SEC championship. So they were going toe for toe for High Point. High Point, I think, is just you watch out. There'll be pretty soon. There'll be like kind of like App State back in the day, where they'll be called up pretty soon to the big D1 level of the power conferences, because there is
Yep.
a lot of money that goes into that school, and it really showed on the basketball court of how they were able to beat Wisconsin and also hold their weight against an Arkansas. And so that was really fun to see a small college out of North Carolina make some noise in this year's tournament.
Yep, absolutely. Shout out to High Point where our buddy Jason's son Ford is going to be going to. Good supporter of the podcast and always an interesting NC State fan whenever he comes in. So, speaking of NC State, we'll move on to another game that probably busted some brackets, but really no big surprise to me with Gonzaga. But I did not have Texas making it this far, but I did have BYU beating Gonzaga. They just don't hold up in the tournament. Cody, when is this Gonzaga when are they gonna learn that they gotta figure something out to get over this hump in the tournament?
Oh man. Well, luckily for them, they're going out of the West Coast Conference and they're starting in a new conference next year. The new conference is what used to be the Pac-12. It's still going to be the Pac-12, but with new teams. And so it will help them out a lot, because we saw three West Coast Conference teams in Gonzaga, St. Mary's, and Santa Clara, and absolutely lay an egg in all three of them.
Yeah.
And so I don't know why that the selection committee, makes these teams like, oh man, they're good. They always get in every year, and they always lay an egg every year, and everybody is so hyped over them. But Gonzaga, they have to start making their schedules tougher, because them playing in that West Coast Conference and against San Francisco and some of these other smaller schools like Portland, they're not helping themselves at all for the NCAA tournament.
No, I totally agree, but I do think the conference change will certainly help. But the cool thing for me is, Gonzaga didn't necessarily lose that game. Texas is playing really, really well, and nobody's going to consider them a Cinderella, even though they're 11 seed. But I'm kind of getting some 2023 NC State vibes from this team. So look out. We'll go over the next round, but really proud of Texas for pulling it out against Gonzaga. Somebody who I'm not proud of is Florida. Um, they destroyed my bracket. It's over for me. They just that second half, you saw a lot of the bigger seeds or not a lot, but you saw some of the bigger seeds get down early and were able to come through. And Florida They speaking of laying egg, they really did, and they hurt a lot of brackets here. What do you think happened there, Cody?
I think Florida allowed Iowa to play their own game, to play to their level instead of Iowa playing to Florida's level. Iowa was very uh they just very just played to their game. They slowed it down. They didn't play up tempo the way Florida likes to play. And the way Iowa likes to play is like they play like inside out. They like to go down to the bigs, and once somebody crashes onto them, they like to kick out for a three. And they got a really good point guard, Iowa does, and if he's driving, everybody's gonna crash on him, and he's gonna be able to kick out for a three. Florida, they were trying to go through their best players, but Iowa just had a great plan on defense to shut them down, and you had turnovers, you had sloppy turnovers, and
A little
whenever
bit of
you
foul
just
trouble.
that's right, get a little bit of foul trouble. Iowa is a really good free throw shooting team, and so you get into a dogfight like that, you start, looking unlike yourself, and you start playing like the other team, and you start playing to their ways, and it's just a really tough spot. And so, and Florida doesn't really have that star player like a Cameron Boozer, like a Darius Acuff Jr. to really make a play when you need it.
Yeah, that's true. And what Cody said really goes through all sports. If you play, if you're the favorite and you play the underdog's game, that's where you really get into some trouble. So, uh, interesting. We did have some upsets, which we did not think there would be a ton. So, it's keeping it a little bit interesting with all this NIL. So, uh, this isn't exactly what Cody and I predicted a week ago, but right now we'll give you we got the Sweet 16. We're going to go over who we think is going to go into the Elite Eight and the Final Four, and then we'll break all that down next week on the podcast. So, basically, I'll start it off, Cody. In the East, we've got Duke playing St. John's. Pretty good run from St. John's. Kansas almost got them. I think, to your point, Boozer is going to be just a little too much for St. John's. I got Duke here. Cody, you think they upset them?
Yeah, well, you know who I'm gonna be pulling for in this game. But I expect it to be a close game. The line right now is Duke -6.5. That's really at a good line. I like that line. Um, it's gonna be a
Yeah,
close game.
to
It
bet
really
on St.
is.
John's. Yeah,
Yeah, I can
yeah,
see the Duke winning by 4. It's gonna be a really close game. Uh, Duke has to watch out for the press of St. John's. You got a backup point guard and Caden Boozer, not Cameron, but the younger, the smaller point guard version. But they're going to press them. They're going to run a full court press, pick them up at half court. Uh, how will he deal with that type of pressure? That's going to be very interesting to see. Uh, St. John's a very good defensive team, um, but I like Duke here just because they've been through some tough games. They've beaten some really good teams like Michigan, Michigan State, and so Florida. So I feel like when they're back against the wall, they prevail. So I'll go Duke right here.
yeah. A little bit of rest won't hurt them either. Next game in the East, we've got Michigan State versus UConn. Two grizzly coaches here going at it. This game will probably take like 3 hours to play. But you know, Izzo, he's great in these situations, but I actually think the talent from UConn's going to overcome it. I have UConn moving forward here. Cody, you think differently?
Yeah, I do think differently. I think Michigan State wins this game. I think Michigan State bigs will give UConn a problem. I think Jeremiah Fears is going to give UConn problems. I just think that Michigan State has just more of a more like a veteran team than UConn,
Mhm.
and they just more battle tested. We saw UConn at the end of the season lose to Marquette and then also lose to St. John's. Uh, Marquette is not a good team at all,
No.
and I think that this will be their first true test in the NCAA tournament, and so that's why I'm leaning Michigan State because I just think that they're are just battle tested and veteran led.
Yep. All right. So a little bit of difference there with Cody and I. We'll head down to the South Division where I'm sure you didn't have this picked. We got Iowa playing Nebraska. I hate to eat our words on this. Cody and I were not big on Nebraska, but it happens to be a pretty good story. I actually see Nebraska moving on here. Just being a little bit too much for Iowa and pretty good feel good story going here. So, what do you think here?
Yeah, I also like Nebraska right here. I think Iowa comes off a hard like crash. I think they get a little bit too big headed. I think they start missing some of those threes that they made against Florida. And I think Nebraska stays hot on this run, and they go to the Elite Eight.
Yep, yep. Hard to believe Nebraska and Iowa, but yeah, there you go. Elite Eight for Nebraska. Staying in the South Division, we got Illinois and Houston. Houston's been really sneaky here, and I think they continue the trend. I like Houston here.
Yeah, and this game will be played in Houston, which is crazy. This is gonna be a home game. I don't think I've ever seen somebody play in their home city for the Sweet 16 and Elite Eight. Um, right now, Houston is only favored by 2.5. So a lot of Illinois love coming in and Las Vegas. But I love Houston right here. I think this they're you talk about one of the best defensive teams in the country,
Mhm.
and that's the Houston Cougars. Kelvin Sampson is all about defense. This is a veteran-led squad. This team went to the national championship and barely lost to Florida last year. So they got a little bit of some redemption coming in. And so I think just like I said, having that home field, home place, and home court advantage, I like Houston right here of Illinois.
Yeah, I certainly do too, and I don't mind laying at 2.5 points. We're gonna head out west here. We've got Arizona, Arkansas. This is probably a little chalky. A lot of people probably had this in their bracket. Arkansas has been a great story. I love Acuff, but I think Arizona is just a little bit too much for him here. Do you think Arkansas's got enough to pull the upset off?
I I do. I mean, I picked Arizona in my bracket, but they got 2 guards, Arkansas, which we all know Darius Acuff is that dude. But they got another guard. I'm trying to look it up real fast. Um, let me see. I think it's Malik Thomas. They're shooting guards. So you got Darius Acuff Jr., Malik Thomas. Those guys are legit, man. Those guys are bona fide studs. They're quick as a cat. They can get to the rim easy. Um, I could see an upset here. If there's going to be a big shocking upset to the Sweet 16 round, I think it will be Arkansas over Arizona because of their guards. We've seen guards win national championships. We've seen Kemba Walker. We've seen Shabazz Napier. We've seen guys take their teams to deep runs. And Darius Aco Jr. is one of those guys. And Calipari is a veteran coach. He's a Hall of Fame coach in college basketball. Now I know some
Yep.
people don't like that, and there's not Calipari fans out there, but you got to give him his flowers. He knows what he's doing. He does have a national championship. And so if there's going to be any upset this weekend, I like Arkansas over Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, I could agree with the upset aspect of it, but I still think, Arizona is just a little too much. One of the upsets I would love to see happen, we've got Texas and Purdue. Um, you know, I I guess I'd love to be wrong about Texas for the third time in a row, but I think Purdue's playing really well, kind of sneaky like Houston. I think Purdue moves on here just a little too much for Texas.
Texas is going to have to keep on um, playing to their strengths of with Mark Mark is really good in the mid range. Same thing with Pope. Pope can pull up a good mid range shot. And playing big with their big center, he's been a monster recently. He's just been taking over games as far as
Yeah,
rebounds and put
getting to
and
the line a
just
lot.
getting to the line, being good on the glass. If he is able to get rebounds and get putbacks and be still dominant, Texas has a good chance of winning this game. But Purdue's really well coached. Purdue's got good shooters. You have to stop Purdue from the 3-point line. If they get any bit hot, you'll find yourself down by 12 in a blink of an eye.
Yep, yep. So, again, pulling for Texas 100%, but I think Purdue's a little too much. Speaking of
Mhm.
well coached, we got Michigan playing Bama. Bama's been playing real well despite missing one of their high scoring players with that unfortunate charge. But I think this is whenever the slipper finally falls off for Bama, and Michigan's just a little too much. I got Michigan moving on.
Yeah, I totally agree. Michigan is what I kind of call a grown man team. They like to play inside. They like to play the old school basketball of Shaq and Keem Olajuwon type of basketball of going down to the bigs and driving the basketball to the rim. And Alabama is the complete opposite. They like to shoot 53s a game, and they like to light it up. And so Michigan, I just think that they're just gonna just play bully ball, and that's gonna really wear on Alabama. I like Michigan. They're favored by 9.5 right now, and I think that's a pretty good line by Vegas.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably right on cue. But be careful with that. But we do have Michigan moving on. Last game in the Midwest, we've got Tennessee, who's had a couple good upset at versus Iowa State, missing one of their best players. Iowa State's still playing well, so I think they pull it off here, but really close game.
Oh, come on, you gotta do something for James, man. You got go ahead, throw this one back for James, man.
No,
Come on.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I had Tennessee losing like 3 games ago, so
Iowa State showed me a lot in the second half against Kentucky. Kentucky's a very similar team like Tennessee. Um, Iowa State is just, if they can get going, they play really good fundamental basketball. Tennessee will not be able to turn over Iowa State. Iowa State plays good fundamental basketball. They play good on defense. They make good passes. And I like Iowa State here. I think they're battle tested too. I think Iowa State can be a team if they do get hot from three. Watch out because they'll light you up. But I like Iowa State here. I do think this will be a close game. I really do. But I like Iowa State just because they are, just like I mentioned with Michigan State, Iowa State is also a veteran led squad. A lot of seniors, a lot of juniors, and that those teams usually go far in the NCAA tournament.
yep, yep, definitely. So there's the wrap up. We won't get too much into this. Going back to the East, I've got Duke playing UConn. Cody's got Duke playing Michigan State. I've got Duke moving on in this situation. Um, but Cody, do you think Michigan State's got enough to take over the Boozer Twins here?
Nah, I don't think so. I think it would be Duke uh, going on to the Final Four if they get past St. John's.
Yep, yep, same here. So Duke and I, or Cody and I, are similar on the Final Four in the East. Moving down south, we both have Nebraska playing Houston, and it goes right back to what Cody said earlier. I really like Houston and the defense here.
Yeah, like you said, Houston's gonna be playing at home. That place be crazy, and Houston's defense will be able to shut down Nebraska.
Yep. All right, so this is where it's going to get a little squirrely. Cody's got Arkansas playing Purdue. I've got Arizona playing Purdue, and I've got Arizona moving on. So where are you at here, Cody?
I'd have Arkansas moving on just because of guard play, like I mentioned. If Arkansas does win, I got Arkansas moving on. If Arizona does win, I would have Arizona moving on over Purdue.
I like that pick. That's a nice contrarian pick there. One of the teams I've been high on, Michigan playing Iowa State. I think it'd be great if they're if they could have a full healthy team, but I think Michigan pulls it off here and gets to the Final Four.
I totally agree. I mean, like I said, Michigan plays bully ball, Mara down low. Um, was it Lindenberg?
Yeah,
Uh,
Lindenberg.
yeah, Lindenberg.
Yeah,
He's been unstoppable. He looks like a grown man. He looks like like a
yeah. One
he
of the
looks like
few upperclassmen.
he's just a grown man. He's been in college for a while, and it shows, and he's really, showing out in the NCAA tournament right now, and I would take Michigan to the Final Four.
All right. Well, there you have it. We'll be back next week and we'll kind of dive into some of those games. And I'm sure there will be, some updates on some of these college basketball positions and things like that. Cody, you have anything to send us off with?
Just everybody enjoy the games. We're running out of college basketball season. It's going by fast. The tournament's going by really fast. So really enjoy the games. We might go live sometime if there's some breaking news about the Carolina coaching position. There's also some other coaching positions that are possibly coming up, like Kansas and NC State. So be on aware for that for other coaching positions that are coming open that might be filled pretty soon too. And so enjoy the games and look forward to seeing everybody next week.
Yep. That sounds good. All right, everybody. Y'all have a good evening. Take care.